Today. I'm Lamar Thorpe, Mayor of the City of Antioch, and as the Mayor of Antioch, I have the unfortunate duty of sharing with you that on Monday the city received some information that has arisen from an ongoing investigation of the Antioch Police Department that several additional officers have been placed on administrative leave. I know that since Tuesday, rumors have swirled about the number of officers who have been placed on administrative leave and the nature of this matter. Let me be very clear, I'm not here to confirm the number of officers that are involved, nor am I here to confirm any rumors or speculation about the nature of what was discovered. I respect and believe in the right to due process. It's a fundamental value of our country and who we are as Americans. In addition, we as a city have an obligation to ensure that these employees' personnel records remain confidential to the extent that the law prescribes. We as a city have every intention of respecting confidentiality and due process. That being said, we're also not going to sweep these matters under the rug as we've done in the past and pretend that we have issues, that we have a few issues with a few bad apples. It is clear we have a cultural and systemic problems that persist to this very day. As a result, the residents of our city are going to pay excessive amount of money for potential law enforcement support from outside agencies, loss of manpower, potential litigation, and outside independent investigations. To say that I am outraged is an understatement as it relates to this matter. But I'm also deeply disappointed. I'm deeply disappointed because for a long time, those of us who have been elected to serve in this very room behind me have failed to ask tough questions about what's happening in our various city's departments, including the police department. I will say again what I said in a recent press conference: the Antioch Police Department is not an independent agency of its own. They are a city department that is held accountable by the city manager, the city council, and of course our city's residents. As you saw recently, I personally do not have a problem making any management changes if the people sitting in these chairs of authority cannot accept that reality. That goes for all positions from all of our departments, including the chief of police, all the way on up to the city manager. Since advancing the idea of a police reform ad hoc committee in 2020, when I was serving as a council member, the police union, MAGA Republicans, local blogs, and political opponents have worked hard to paint me and others as anti-law enforcement for simply asking for accountability. I want to make myself very clear in stating that, for the record, that I'm very much pro all of our departments, including law enforcement, which is why we gave all of our employees equal pay raises across the board. But being pro law enforcement does not mean that you turn a blind eye to allow bad behavior to persist. That is not what the residents of our city deserve, and equally is not what the honest, hard-working police officers who play by the rules deserve as well. This is undoubtedly going to impact staffing levels, which is not good. I have yet to be briefed on what the way forward will be, which is also not good. If I'm not briefed on a plan soon, I will be calling a special meeting of the Antioch City Council where the chief will be our special guest to answer all of these questions, specifically how we're going to maintain police service levels. So with that, I will not open it up to any questions yet. Soy el alcalde Lamar Thorpe de la ciudad de Antioch. Como alcalde de Antioch tengo que compartir con ustedes que el lunes la ciudad recibió información que ha llegado de una investigación del curso del Departamento de Policía de Antioch, que varios oficiales adicionados fueron puestos en licencia administrativa. Sé que desde el martes han circulado rumores sobre la cantidad de oficiales que han sido puestos en la licencia administrativa y la razón de este asunto. Déjame ser muy claro, no estoy aquí para confirmar la cantidad de policías involucrados, ni estoy aquí para confirmar ningún rumor sobre el tema de lo que está pasando aquí ahora. Respeto y creo en el derecho al debido proceso. Es un valor fundamental de nuestro país y nosotros como estadounidenses. Además, nosotros como ciudad tenemos la obligación de garantizar que los registros de personal de estos empleados permanecen confidenciales en la manera como dice la ley. Nosotros como ciudad tenemos toda la intención de respetar la confidencialidad y el debido proceso. Dicho esto, tampoco vamos a barrer estos asuntos como debajo de la alfombra, como lo hemos hecho en el pasado. Está claro que tenemos problemas culturales y sistémicos que persistan hasta este día. Como resultado, los residentes de nuestra ciudad van a pagar una cantidad excesiva de dinero por el posible apoyo policial de agencias externas, la pérdida de mano de obra, posibles demandas y investigaciones independientes externas. Decir que hoy estoy bien enojado de este asunto es quedarse corto. Diré nuevamente lo que dije en una conferencia de prensa recientemente. El Departamento de Policía de Antioch no es una agencia independiente de la ciudad de Antioch. Son un departamento de la ciudad que debe rendir cuentas al administrador de la ciudad, el consejo municipal y por supuesto nuestros residentes. Como vio recientemente, yo personalmente no tengo ningún problema de hacer cambios en la gestión si las personas que ocupan estas posiciones de autoridad no pueden aceptar esa realidad. Eso se aplica a todos los puestos, desde nuestros jefes de departamentos, incluido el jefe de policía, hasta el administrador de la ciudad. Desde que avancé la idea de un comité de reforma policial en el 2020, cuando era un concejal, el sindicato de policías, los republicanos MAGA, los blogs locales y los opositores políticos han trabajado para pintarme a mí y a otros como antipolicía de la ley, por simplemente preguntar para la rendición de cuentas. También quiero ser muy claro que estoy muy a favor a todos nuestros departamentos, incluido el departamento de policía, razón por la cual le dimos todos los empleados de la ciudad aumentos iguales a todos los ámbitos. Pero estar a favor de la policía no significa que se haga de la vista y permitir que persista una cultura como estamos viendo ahora. Sin duda, esto afectará los niveles de personal. Todavía tengo que ser informado sobre cuál será el camino a seguir. Si no me presentan un plan pronto, llamaré a una junta del Consejo Municipal en donde el jefe de policía será nuestro invitado especial y responderá a todas nuestras preguntas, específicamente cómo vamos a mantener los niveles del servicio policial en la ciudad de Antioch. Y con eso podemos abrir a unas preguntas. With that, we can open up to any questions and answers. I will be very, very clear. I'm not getting into anybody's personnel, anything. I'm not confirming any of the rumors. My goal here is to inform the public of what's happening in terms of obviously lower level of policing staff, and so that's going to have an impact on our service level.
Can I put this on?
Oh, yes.
Just under the jacket, if you don't mind.
So how many sworn active officers are currently on the force?
That I don't know. I hope to be briefed one day by our chief of police as to where we are with staffing levels and then what the way forward is.
But haven't you had any conversation with the chief? Because, I mean, it's kind of important if he hasn't informed you.
Not as of yet.
But is there a reason why?
I don't know.
Has he informed the acting city manager?
He has.
Have you tried getting in touch with him and he doesn't reply, or?
Well, I'm not going to get into that.
What are the
You're the mayor and
allegations?
he's the chief, you should have some kind of communication.
Absolutely. I agree.
So
The allegations?
I can't get into that.
what is the time frame that the alleged offenses occurred? Was it before the FBI and DA investigation began, or has it been ongoing since then?
I can't answer that only because this will be an internal investigation, and so, part of that process is maintaining as much confidentiality as possible to ensure everybody has the right to due process.
Now,
But
the
you're saying
7
that-
officers, you mentioned the additional 7 officers, are they a part of the group that's being investigated by the FBI and DA, or are they just additional, just to confirm? Is there any crossover, or,
They aren't. I don't think what we're dealing with here amounts to criminal activity.
but are they also under investigation, a part of the FBI, DA investigation into the department? These officers, are they a part of that group?
I don't think this amounts to any criminal activity.
But if the
FBI is looking at.
investigation, is there investigation of all officers on the police force, and therefore that's why they found these additional officers' communications? Or
So I'm not gonna get into that,
Okay.
because again, that's part of the ongoing investigation. And so there will be time, generally speaking, when you investigate something, even when we do it here in-house, sometimes you find, irrespective of what the department is, it could be human resources, it could be someone under investigation at Parks and Recreation. Sometimes you can discover information that then creates another investigation. And sometimes you may find something that amounts to criminal activity, so then that gets referred to somewhere else. And so that's what generally happens.
Can you elaborate then on what?
Is the
you had something.
FBI investigating the Antioch Police Department?
What we know officially, what we do know, is, as what we've said before, is that initially we had 8 officers that were under FBI investigation. Now we currently have 7 because one has resigned.
Okay, and you had mentioned earlier that these officers engaged in bad behavior. Can you explain what bad behavior is? How are you defining that? What does that mean?
Well, I think, generally speaking, these, even if you look at these two separately, the amount of officers,
When you say these two
Creates-
separately, what are you talking about, these two?
I'm talking about the FBI investigation and then our internal investigation. There's too many to suggest that we have bad apples. In my opinion, we have systemic problems that we need to deal with.
Which would be what? What are the
Well, I
systemic-
won't get into that because it's an investigation.
But you can at least tell us what some of your concerns, what are the headline issues? What are
So
some of
I'm
the
not gonna give
categories?
you my concerns I'm gonna continue to speak generally only because these are investigations. And in order to give people a due process, you have to maintain at some level of confidentiality.
But investigation into what?
And who's conducting it?
We will be conducting these,
Who's we?
the City of Antioch.
The City of Antioch being?
Which
Or
employees?
is that you? Is that the city manager or the interim city manager?
We conduct all of our investigations. The city conducts all of its investigations of any employee.
But sometimes you hire outside investigators.
Sometimes we
like us.
hire outside investigators, correct.
Okay, so that
I
might be
would
happening.
presume that this would be an instance where we hire outside investigators.
Son 7 los que están siendo investigados, además de otros, ¿verdad?
Sí.
¿Por qué no puede dar el número? El jefe de policía no le ha dado este número porque no tienen comunicación, ustedes dos al parecer.
No, we will, so we'll provide an exact number at a later time. But right now, we're not going to provide it, and there's a reason for that, and I'm not going to share that reason. But we will provide you as much timely information as we can.
When was the last time you spoke to the chief?
I'm not sure what that has to do with what I'm doing here today.
Well, it seems that you guys don't have any type of communication, so he's the chief of a police department that's under investigation. And you're the mayor.
Well, but technically, the chief of police reports to the city manager communicates things to me. But I have not been briefed about this matter, no.
And are you in touch with the city manager?
I talk to the city manager constantly.
And he talks constantly to the chief?
I would hope so.
But you don't know.
But again, Mayor Thorpe, you keep saying this matter. What is the matter? You won't even define it.
No, because
But what's the point of being here? Like, what are we talking about?
my goal was to let folks know that we're going to have an impact on staffing levels. I made that clear at the very beginning, which is why I think this is important to communicate with the public. We have to communicate that with the public because we may have to make expenditures that assist us in providing police service. You guys want to get into the matter, and I understand that, I think as time goes on, we'll be able to share more. And I think even under the FBI investigation, we've shared what we can.
So what
So
are the options
regarding-
for?
Sorry, regarding
Sorry.
public safety then, what are you guys gonna do going forward? Because it seems like you're dealing with reduced officers, even
Yes.
8, according to the math, some math, that's about 10% of the workforce. If there's, you may call them the rumors, if there's an additional 8, that's 20% of your workforce down in a city with increasing crime rate. So talk to us about public safety. What do you
Right,
guys
those
think
are
of
all
this?
fair questions, and once I'm briefed on that, I can share more. If I'm not briefed, I've told you that I'm gonna call a special meeting and the chief can come answer questions in public.
But you say
And-
you wanna talk about, you know, informing the public of staffing and safety.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that then.
I've told you what I can, which is we're gonna see a reduction in our police force because of this FBI investigation. The last time we went through this, we came up with an incentives program to attract more officers. That has had a huge impact on our recruitment efforts. Interest has gone up by 55%, the applications went up by 44%. We're sending a number of individuals to the academy. We're attracting first-time officers, so we're pretty proud of that. I think in the summer months, our goal was to try to get as close as to 115 as we could. This clearly takes us backwards. If we have to authorize additional police officers in order to attract more police officers as these matters are figured out, then that's what we'll have to do. If we have to ask for mutual aid, whether it's from the sheriff's department or local agencies, that's what I'm willing to do as the mayor. Once I'm briefed, I think we'll have a better understanding of what the way forward will be. And if I'm not, we'll call a special meeting, and then we'll have to work this out in a kind of in a public way to make sure that the service level is maintained. And I just want to point out that in the last 2 years, we have not surpassed the rate of crime from anywhere between 2013 and 2020, and that's because that's what's most publicly available information. I'm sure it goes back to 2008. So I think we're making tremendous progress in our policing efforts, particularly given the circumstances. So my goal here was to let the public know we may see a reduction. We are going to see a reduction in staffing levels, and then we're going to have to start the conversation about what we do.
Mayor Thorpe, I just want to confirm this because I know we've covered this previously, but there were press conferences where there were officers put on leave related to the FBI DA investigation.
Yes.
These 7 today, because the answer wasn't clear earlier, this is a completely different investigation that's not related to the FBI DA investigation, or are they also a part of a group that's under investigation by the FBI and DA? The bigger story that we've been covering the past, I guess,
Right.
year or so.
I think the level in terms of what we're talking about, I think is not criminal activity, and so.
So these 7 officers are not under investigation by the FBI and DA that have been put on leave?
But I think, so how we receive the information is a different story. And so as I spoke generally about earlier, we could have somebody in Parks and Recreation, an employee in Parks and Recreation who's under investigation where the investigator finds out information about somebody completely different. And the level of magnitude as to what they may or may not have violated in terms of city policy may be greater than the other. And so generally speaking, I think that would be a fair assessment of what's happening here.
So it's separate. These 7 officers is separate from the FBI DA investigation. It's fair to say that.
Is this a matter of
Hold
public?
on, I just need to answer, because I've been answering.
Sure.
So I mean, because if it's not related to the FBI DA investigation.
I will say no comment to that.
So this is a internal investigation of a police department policy violation. Is that fair to say how to describe it?
Any fact-finding expedition that we go on as a city is triggered because there may or may not have been there may have been a violation of city policy. We don't just have investigations for the sake of having investigations. And I think that's just the standard overall.
And I haven't heard you really give a number of officers that you're announcing today. So the 7 is separate. That's the DA and the FBI investigation. And then what you're saying now is a completely different number of officers, correct?
Correct, and we'll give you that exact number, I think, at a later date.
How
probably.
come the police department isn't here with you? Because in the past, when you've had these announcements about police and police policy and the investigation, you've been flanked by the police department and the chief. And why would you have this news conference before being briefed?
So, we have the East Bay Times wrote an article about the city not being transparent as it related to some matters at the police department. Irrespective of what happens in our departments, I, as the mayor and the city council, are responsible for everything. The article didn't say, the article said the city was not being transparent. The article said the city withheld information. I own that. I own all of that, irrespective of what department may have made that decision. So I'm here today because I'm accountable to the public. I'm not accountable to the police union, and I'm not accountable to the police department. I'm accountable to the public. This has happened. This will have an impact on the public, and so I'm announcing why we're having the impact we're going to have on police service level. The public has an expectation of what type of service they're going to receive from the police department, and that today is going. As a result of this, it is going to have some type of impact, and I want the public to be prepared. But I also want the public to know that irrespective, we're going to work to make sure that we try to maintain service level as much as possible.
Are your police reforms that were passed by the council over the last few years being implemented into the department? Do you find that that is or isn't happening, and this investigation is improving that one way or another?
I believe they are being implemented. You see it. You see it with the body cams. I mean, you see it with, we put together our independent oversight commission. That's a process that we've started, that we're going to start filling those positions. We see it in, there's new policies that Chief Ford has brought on board. We have the dash cams. One was related to text messages and using personal phones, and so we've seen that implemented. We're seeing a host of all of our police efforts implemented.
I have to ask you, Mayor, because the reports are out there. Were these officers let go due to racist and homophobic text messages? Can you comment on that or deny or confirm any of that?
I can't comment on that because this is, you could have said that someone was throwing eggs at a car. I can't comment on that because it's an investigation that's taking place and everybody has the right to due process.
If you haven't talked to the chief yet, will you be attending the community forum tonight to get an update on staffing levels?
No, I will not be at that community forum. As I've said before, I don't work for the police department, so I don't go to their events to get information. That's not how this works. I'm the mayor of the City of Antioch, the second largest city in Contra Costa County. It's a city of 120,000 people. I would expect that the chain of command worked just as it worked when I was in the Navy. And if there was something I needed to request or inform or send up the chain of command, that it would get there. And so it doesn't work the other way around.
Can you tell, that many are wondering something happened between you and the chief, because, you guys are not talking. Like, you used to be, in a better relationship back in the day.
Well, I wouldn't say we're not talking, I just haven't been briefed.
But that's an important issue, you should be briefed, no?
Yeah, I agree.
So, can you tell us what happened? Like,
I'm not gonna get into any of that, because some of that is rumor and speculation, and so, listen, I told the city manager, as I've done in the past, I'm having a press conference at 11 o'clock, and, that's how we generally do it.
And you were briefed by the city manager yesterday, correct, about this matter?
Yeah, I was briefed by him on Tuesday.
So do you know
But then
how
the
many?
rumors started circulating, and that is not good. That is absolutely not good, and so we need to put a lid on that. And I need to stand here and tell you what was happening, because when you start getting calls saying, is this person on leave, is that person on leave, well, I heard this, and that's not creating confidence, certainly with the city, and it's certainly not creating confidence with the police officers who are doing what they're supposed to be doing here at the Antioch Police Department.
So do you know how many active patrol officers are on duty?
The last number, the last number I had was when I gave the last press conference, which I believe we were like at 70 something. And when Mike says active, he's talking about.
I'm talking patrol.
Oh, patrol.
Patrol.
I'm sorry. No, I don't know that off the top of my head.
But right now you have 99 sworn that are actually on staff, or is that? another
About that,
one?
and that's what I wanted to piggyback on what Mike was saying. That doesn't account for the people who are on some type of administrative or medical leave. So with that, I'll take one more question, and then
Can
I
I
gotta
ask a
call it
question,
in.
please?
So from the press.
Oh, from the press.
How long
My
have these
citizens,
officers been on
what happened
leave
to
and how
Milan,
long will they
Antioch
continue
Police
to be on
Department?
leave?
What happened to my son?
That I don't know.
You
And when we
wasn't here,
get more
Lamar. You have
information,
to
I'll
pick
let you
up all
know.
of this mess. The corruption's been going on.
All right, thank you very much.
Chief
Officer that got,
Benzimata, Chief Brooks,
the officer
Chief
that
Warfield,
resigned,
now
how many
Chief
years he
Ford.
was on the force,
I wanna
or
know
she?
what happened
I
to
don't
my
know.
son. You don't wanna release the reports. You're the mayor. Make them release the reports. You're the mayor. This is your city. Make them release the reports. What happened to my son? Beat by Antioch PD, James Colley, Casey Brogdon, 2014. And when he wanted crumbs off the master's table, he was hunted and beat and died at the hands of Mike Malone. What happened to Milan? I want to know what happened to my son. Release the reports. The city is not higher than the FBI. We know that. So release the reports, Mayor Thorpe. Make them release the report. What kind of connections does this city have trying to resolve issues